I have met with 27 young children, not two young children, but youth, full of excitement, full of enthusiasm. I think they are still standing somewhere in the corner. And they were so straight, they stopped me and asked, could you please tell us how we can involve in eradication of child labor? I said that, let me finish this panel and I'll spend a lot of time with you. I wanted to acknowledge the presence of these 27 youth coming from all across Brazil and participating in this conference. Sisters and brothers, I have mixed feelings. I am happy and I am angry too. I am happy because since yesterday I have been meeting some of my very old friends who participated in the Global March Against Child Labor in 1998, which went across 80,000 kilometers in 100 countries, 103 countries in fact. And I met them after 15, 16 years. They were still very young, very energetic. And I was talking to one of my trade union friends from Latin America. Why are you so young? She said that I don't want to be old until we defeat child labor. And that's true. I'm also happy that this historic conference is being organized here. And the developing nation has shown its leadership in the fight against child labor, Brazil. This gives a very strong and clear signal to the rest of the world that now, not only the emerging economies, but the less income countries are going to take the rein and going to sit on the driving seat to end child labor. They are going to show their leadership now. It's also a signal that this event is going to begin a new era of South-South cooperation, and that is very, very important. That's why I'm happy. I know I could feel the leadership in Brazilian society 17 years ago when I came for the preparation of the Global March and met then Brazilian Governor Cristóvão Barak, who we can say the father of Bolsa Escola, or to be more gender sensitive, I will call the mother of Bolsa Escola. I had traveled across the country with my very dear friend and brother Lélio, who is now Minister Lélio Bentes Correa. And I was with the young children. I still recall the charm and energy of the young boy Belicio and his sister Belucia. On the streets of São Paulo, when we started the march, they were chanting, "No more child labor. We want books, we want toys, no more tools in tiny hands." I still recall that energy, which gives me power. I share the joy since morning that the number of child labor has been reduced significantly for the last 20 years or so. We have counted for the last 10 years, but it has been reducing. And I know many of you personally that it is a personal accomplishment for many of you, because you have been fighting out in your own way, in your own capacities. I am also one of them. But personally speaking, whenever I get a report of reduction of child labor, now after 4 years, each 4 years, it heals my wounds and my injuries which I have got several times while rescuing slave children in my country, India. It heals me. So it's very personal. Friends, I am also happy that the number of out-of-school children have also been reduced from 113 million to 57 million now in last 10 years or so. Great accomplishment. When I started my fight against child labor, nobody was prepared to listen. I had to go to the villages, talk to the people, talk to the government officials, and they assume that it's a part of life, it is nothing new. Children have to work because they are poor. And that was the case in many countries, most countries I would say. But today, I underline, no country, no society, no business can ignore the menace of child labor. It's an issue which has to be dealt with a sense of emergency. Sisters and brothers, it's not just numbers. Every number has a face, has a name, and every child matters. Madam Minister from Netherlands, in the last conference there was a young boy who shared the dais with Her Highness the Queen of Netherlands in the closing ceremony, Tinshu from India. And he shared his dream to the conference and he said that I wanted to become an engineer one day. He was a car cleaner. My organization has rescued him at early age. And when I asked him that day when he was rescued, I asked, what do you want to become? He said, I am a car cleaner, I wanted to become a driver. I said, why not a mechanical engineer? And when he was sharing dice with the Queen, he said that he wanted to become a mechanical engineer. And let me tell you that last month, Tinshu has got admitted in a reputed engineering university in India. He sends his regard to all of you. When I was going here, he said, send my regards. But he also had a question, which I am straight putting to you. He said, I could be given a dream, and I am going to make my dream come true. But who is going to give the dream and make them come true to 168 million children? And when it could be done? This is the question to you, my friends. This is a question to all of us. And we have to answer it in action. Now, as the topic suggests about challenges, I think that the number of out-of-school children and the number of child laborers have narrowed down to hard to reach or harder to reach, or something we can say hardest to reach. There was nothing simple, but definitely if we compare, there were possibilities that children could be withdrawn from child labor and brought to schools, and that has been done, it's being done. But now our march is tougher, and even more tougher when we talk of the worst forms of child labor. We have to identify what we have been able to achieve and what are the challenges. Why I say this is tougher and what makes me angry. About a month ago, me and my colleagues from my Indian organization, Bachpan Bachao Andolan, have rescued We brought her out. Police was with us, magistrate was with us. But later on we discovered that the girl was pregnant and has been raped several times. And in Indian society it's a big taboo to become pregnant at such an early age without marriage. She cried that she said that I am looking for an opportunity to commit suicide because I don't want to face my relatives and friends back home. I have met a number of girls and boys in Bangladesh who make garments but can never have dreamed to wear those garments which they produced for big brands, multinational companies. I come across my children from India and Pakistan. They stitch footballs. And sometimes when we rescue them, the child says that my only dream is to play with the football one day. I was in Ivory Coast recently, few months ago, and I have been to a very remote village, very remote village. I have to drive motorbike and go to talk to the cocoa growing community. And when I was talking to young boys and girls, they grow cocoa for the big chocolate companies. And none of them have ever tasted chocolate. That makes me angry. That makes me angry. And I wanted to see this anger in each one of you. We are fighting against human rights. We are fighting against injustice. We are fighting to establish a new culture in our world, where the children are respected. Friends, we have achieved. We have seen that wherever the laws are in place and properly enforced, wherever education, quality, free education is delivered, wherever the unionized workers have been able to achieve decent working conditions, decent work, wherever the civil society, NGOs have been vigilant and active and innovative, the places where the employers or the businesses have been able to follow the corporate social accountability and their responsibility, where the consumers have been very strong, where the social protection programs have been in place, where the rehabilitation programs for children were working, we have seen the products and progress. We have seen the reduction of child labor. These good stories, success stories, have to be properly documented and have to be disseminated and shared. How we can multiply this success in coming years? Whatever we have achieved so far, how we can multiply this has to be done. But on the other hand, we have to be honest. We have to be honest towards our children. Why things have not moved so far? We have made a commitment that by 2016 we are going to eradicate the worst forms of child labor. That was a minimal commitment for me. It goes 1 year ahead than what we have committed for education and poverty reduction and so many other things in Millennium Development Goals. But the new report unfortunately indicates that the present pace is not going to eliminate even the worst forms of child labor by 2016. We know that poverty is not the only reason. It has been said by the minister, it has been said by Guy this morning. So what are the reasons? What are the challenges? And whatever success we have gained so far, how to preserve it and how to multiply it, we have to identify the existing challenges or maybe the future challenges. But friends, I would call them emergencies. They are not simply challenges. I could identify 6 emergencies they have to be addressed right now with utmost priority and political will. Social action. The first, let me also tell you that these emergencies are cause and consequences of child labor, and somehow they are also interrelated, interwoven. But even then we have to identify them independently. The first one is education emergency. The second one, employment emergency. The third is enforcement emergency. Economic emergency. Ecological emergency. And finally, the ethical emergency. Let me explain briefly. To begin with, the education emergency. 57 million children who are out of school today, they are of primary age children. If we add up the lower secondary age children, the number comes to 132 million. These children have to be in school. We know education is the key to human development, prosperity of individuals, sustainable economic growth of the countries, protection of human rights, social justice, and so on. But these 57 million children are harder to reach. Even if we open up the schools, we hire the teachers, which is unfortunately not the case. We have to hire something like 18 million teachers worldwide over the 10 years' time. But these children are not going to come to school on their own until and unless very rigorous efforts are made to withdraw them from those difficult situations. We cannot solve the problem of education without elimination of child labor. As thanks to Guy, who was mentioning my quote this morning in his speech, and I have been saying to everyone that elimination of child labor or eradication of child labor and education for all are the two sides of the same coin. We cannot achieve one without the other. We have to work hard in achieving both. What we need? To hire teachers, to train teachers, $18 billion annually. What is this $18 billion? Friends, 3.5 days of our global military expenditure. One-fourth of what the Europeans spend on cosmetics, or 1/5 what the North Americans spend on their tobacco. It's not a huge amount. Are we so meager? Are we so poor? Are we so vulnerable that we cannot take out the guns and tools from the tiny hands of these children and give them books to these children? We have the poverty of will and the poverty of moral values towards our children and responsibility towards our children. Otherwise we are not so good. Forgive me to say very clearly this.